It says, and the Lord shall bring thee into captivity again with ships, right? By the way whereof I spoke unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there shalt thou be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, right? So no man was going to buy us, right? No man was going to save us, right? Now this is back in Isaiah the 14th chapter, right? And it says, this is the 4th verse, and it says, and thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, right? And say, how hath the oppressor seized, the golden city seized, right? The Lord has broken that stuff, right? Okay, so that's all I wanted from that, right? For the time being, right? Pick up the next scripture. So I was gonna go jump on this. So this is gonna be Psalms the 37th chapter, right? Which ties in quite perfectly with the lesson. Probably cut it off on the end of that one, right? So this is Psalms the 37th chapter. Right, so this is Psalm 37, and from the top on down it says, fret not thyself because of evildoers, right? Neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity, right? And that's what you see a lot of Jake in his kingdom. They be envious of the workers of iniquity, because the workers of iniquity in his kingdom was rich, right? Like it says in the scriptures, right? Basically, prosperity in his kingdom, this kingdom being upside down, right? It's by way of wickedness. Prosperity in our own kingdom is going to be by way of righteousness. Right, where if the Most High is going to implant the Lord's statutes, commandments within the 12 tribes of Israel, right? It says, right, so fret not thyself because the evildoers, who's the main evildoer, is going to be Esau, right? But then there's also evil men, like it says in the scripture, amongst my people I found wicked men, right? And those people will be prosperous in this kingdom, right? And it says, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity, right? And I got Micah 2:1 written. Right, this is Micah 2:1. Right, so woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. So that's the evildoers, the ones that work evil, right? Who's that? That's Esau, right? Who devises these decrees, these legislations that puts Jake into further captivity, of which the Most High is going to flip the script, right? And Jake is going to have him, in such a way that the Most High is going to have a balance, so to speak. Right, achieve balance, because the Most High is just a perfect balance, right? He said, like the scripture says, he worked both on the left hand side and the right hand side, right? He's created both the light and the darkness, right? He created both the righteous and the wicked, right? It says, woe to them that devise iniquity upon the beds and work evil, that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds, and when morning is light, right, they practice it, right, because it is in their power to do so. So who's in power right now? The elite banking families, the Rothschilds, the DuPonts, and so on and so forth, right? Those are the ones that devise devise iniquity, devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. Those are the workers of evil that it's talking about in Psalms the 37th chapter, where it says, fret not thyself because of the evildoers. So, just hasten the day, in other words, right? Because there's going to come a point, like it says in Revelations, the 13th and 9th chapter, where, a balance is going to be achieved, for lack of a better statement, right? So back in, this is back in Psalms the 37th chapter and the 3rd verse, on the 2nd verse, it says, for they shall soon be cut down, right, like grass, and shall soon be, they shall soon be cut down like grass, whether the green herb, wither as the green herb. And what does that remind you of? That reminds you of Matthew the 13th chapter, where the Most High speaks of the wheat and the tare, right? This is all about Jacob and Esau, man. Jacob and Esau, right? Cain and Abel all over again. The principal storyline, right? This is the main storyline in the book. There's all other kind of things happening, but the principal storyline in this film that the Most High has done set up, right, is the consistent battle between good and evil, or namely Jacob and Esau, right, and righteousness being uplifted over that, right. Right, so that reminds you of Matthew the 13th chapter, where if the Most High is gonna, get all the, when the time of harvest comes to pass, which is gonna be the destruction of His kingdom. Right, He's gonna get all of the good stuff together, which is the wheat, which is the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans of the elect. Right, which is gonna be a small number. Right, the tares amongst them, they're gonna be destroyed. It's gonna be bound and burnt, like it says here. Right, in Psalms the 37th chapter and the 2nd verse, it says, For they shall soon be cut down like the grass, right, and wither as the green herb, right. This is the third verse. It says, trust in the Most High and do good. And what's the good? How'd you do good? Come out here, you push this truth, right? Like it says in Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, right. The righteous is going to stand in great boldness in front of the faces of them such as afflicted them. Right, so we're going to stand in great boldness before the faces of people that such as afflict us. Right, that's what the righteous do. Like it says in Ezekiel the 9th chapter, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, right? Tell these people to follow His law, statutes, commandments, and turn back from their wicked ways. Right, so the number can be sealed, so we can be up out of here, like the scripture says. The Most High is waiting for that number to be sealed. The Most High ain't waiting for nobody. Right, the Most High set up that number's gonna be sealed after a period of time. Right. Right, it says, so thou shalt dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Right, delight thyself in the Lord, and He shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Right, and what's the desires of our heart? Right, this is Revelations 2. So let me read that again. Right, delight thyself in the Lord. And how do you find the Lord? The Lord comes in the volume of the book. So you're gonna delight yourself in the scriptures. Right, regardless of whatever's happening, in the day to day. Right, so, right. And it says, delight thyself also in the Lord, right, and shall give thee the desires of thine heart, right. And what's the principal desires of of any Jake's mind, right? It should be what is read in Revelations, the 2nd chapter, and the 25th verse, right? Namely, it says, right, he that overcometh what? The first verse that it speaks of, what does it say? Fret not thyself. So you have to overcome them, all right? And it says, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works until the end. Right, so you ain't fretting yourself, right? You hasten the day, you keep the works of the Most High until the end, right? Right. To him will He give power over the nations. So the Jakes, the elect amongst Israel, that's going delight themselves in the Most High, right? Namely, the Most High comes in the volume of this book. Me studying, watching video, right? Putting precept together, like the elders say, right? Doing sit downs and so on and so forth, right? So that individual. Will He give power over the nations, right? And He shall rule them with a rod of iron, right? And as the vessels of the potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I have received of my Father. So that's what's going to happen as a result of as a direct result of being one of the elect. Well, really, that's it. You're just going to be an elect. Certain ones of the elect is going to be sealed just by hearing the word of Yahweh Shimei, the name of the Yahweh Shimei outside, and that's it. It's sealed, right? Now this is, certain ones are going to come out here and push that word and push that vibration, right? It says, this is back in Psalms, the 37th chapter and the 5th verse, and it says, commit thy ways unto the Lord, right? And commit our ways unto the Lord means we got to follow the statutes, commandments of the Most High to the best of our ability, right? And I say to the best of our ability because the Most High specifically said it out that so that no man can boast of his own works. Right, that these law, statutes, commandments be impossible for the most part to follow. Right, it's the 5th verse. It says, "Commit thy ways unto the Lord; trust also in Him, and He shall bring it to pass." Right, and it said, "He shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, right, and the judgment as noonday." Right, and now let's jump to Psalm the 58th chapter. Right, it's concerning righteousness. Right, this is Psalms the 58th chapter, right, and it says, let me just read the precept that I want to elaborate on in Psalms the 37th chapter. It says, and He shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday. Right, and this is Psalms the 58th chapter and the 10th verse, and it says, the righteous, right, the Most High is going to bring through the righteousness of the, of a particular individual. This is how He's going to do it. It says, the righteous shall rejoice when he seeth the vengeance. So the righteous is going to see, they're going to rejoice when they see the vengeance of the Lord. right? When when wickedness is overcome, then the wicked is overcome, right? It says, the righteous shall rejoice when he seeth the vengeance. He shall wash his feet in the blood of the wicked. So the righteous is going to wash his feet in the blood of the wicked, man. Right? It says, so that a man shall say, verily there is a reward for the righteous. Right? Verily is a God that judges the earth. And we jump back into Psalm 37, chapter and the 6th verse. It says, it shall bring forth righteousness as the light and judgment as the noonday. And that's exactly what it's talking about in Psalms the 58th chapter, right? And that's how it's going to come about, right? And rest in the Lord and wait patiently for it. You're going to wait patiently unto the Most High, like Ecclesiasticus says in the 2nd chapter and the 1st verse, right? Hey, if thou bringest thyself unto the Most High, you're going to prepare your mind for temptation, right? Because the righteous is going to be tried as gold is tried in the furnace of, and gold is tried in the fire, right? And acceptable men in the furnace of adversity, right? So it's all about that fire too, man. That fire be doing work, right? And that fire is going to do work when the Lord comes back too, right? And it says, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Fret not thyself because of him that oppresseth in his ways, right? And who oppresseth in his ways, right? It's Esau oppressing him in his ways, right? And this is talking about, like I said, you're gonna wait patiently on Yahweh outside, right? This is Psalms the 7th chapter. This is not Psalms. 2nd Ezra, the 7th chapter and the 6th verse, right? It says, there is another thing, right? A city is builded, right? And it's set upon a broad field. Right, it's full of good things, right? And that's talking about the kingdom of heaven, right? Namely, Daniel the 2nd chapter and the 44th verse, right? It says, and full of good things. The entrance thereof is narrow, right, and set in a dangerous place to fall, right? The entrance, namely to the kingdom of the Most High is set forth on a narrow path, right? Namely, this, just truth for the most part is going to be a lonely thing, right? It says, the entrance thereof is narrow, and it's set in a dangerous place to fall. So, guys are going to be falling out of this thing like, marbles off the back, right? It says, like as there was a fire on the right and a deep water on the, and on the left a deep water, right? And only one path between them, even both the fire and the water, so small that they could but one man go there at once. Right? It says, if the city now then were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, like it says in Ecclesiasticus, the 2nd chapter and the 1st verse, if you don't attempt to overcome the adversity, right? In other words, it says, how shall he receive this inheritance? And I said, it is so, Lord. Then he said unto me, even so is Israel's portion. Right, so even so is Israel's portion, right? But like it says in Zechariah the 13th chapter, around about the 9th verse, the 10th verse, right? Israel was gonna have to go. All the Israel, right? The wicked and the elect was gonna have to go through the fire, right? Battling with a monster, right? Demon saying don't like this word coming out, right? This is back in Psalms the 37th chapter and the 8th verse, and it says, cease from anger, right, and forsake wrath, and fret not thyself in any wise to do evil, right? And that's why it says you're gonna be as sharp as a serpent. Like Elder Bard has done, a beautiful video as concerning the different levels in this truth, right? You're gonna, be able to maneuver in and out of certain instances within this society, right? It says, right, it says, for yet a little while, right? There we are. Right, this is 9th verse, and it says, for evildoers shall be cut off, but those that wait upon the Lord shall inherit the earth. And that's what it was talking about as well in 2nd Ezra 7 and the 6th. And who is the evildoers? Those are the wicked ones amongst Israel. Not only Israel, right, but throughout Esau as well, right? And and the majority of the heathens, it's gonna be the good ethnic cleansing, cultural cleansing on this kingdom, right? He says, all right, this is the for yet a little while, and the wicked shall not be. Yea, thou shalt diligently consider his place, and they shall not be, right? But the meek shall inherit the earth, right? And they shall delight themselves in the abundance, right? The wicked plotteth against the judge, and gnasheth upon them in his teeth, right? And I got Isaiah the 10th chapter and the first verse there, right, as a precept there. All right, so this is Isaiah the 10th chapter and the first verse, and it says, oh no, yeah, I already got that one. Yeah, woe to them that plead unrighteous decrees. Right, I already put that out, right? And so, like it says here, yeah, and it's all, it's all relevant. It's showing you that these scriptures are all coherent, man. Right, so it's saying here, the wicked plotteth against the, against the just, and Isaiah is basically saying the same thing. Isaiah the 10th chapter and the first verse, where with the wicked, has divisive means of attacking the just. Who is the just? The just is the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, the Israelites, spread throughout the four corners of the earth. Right, which ain't gonna look like like the Elder Bakar says, he ain't no pseudo black thing. Right, this is about a spirit. This is about a gene. Right. All right. So this is back in 13th chapter, Psalms 37 and 13. It says, right, the Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. Right, and what's that talking about principally? That's talking about what it speaks of in Proverbs. Right, namely the first chapter. Right, around about the 26th verse. We'll get it. Right, this is Proverbs the 26th chapter, right, in 26th verse, and it says, I will laugh at your calamity, I'll mock when your fear comes. So the Lord's going to laugh at people's calamity. And how's the Lord going to laugh at people's calamity? The Most High is going to have his men laughing at you Edomites, right, the wicked ones amongst our people, and all of the heathen, right? The Most High is going to have it to where we're laughing. Right? It says, I will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. And when your fear cometh as a desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, and your distress and anguish cometh upon you. So that's what we're waiting for. Alright? It says, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. Right? Then shall they shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. So who's that talking about? I'm talking about the wicked ones amongst Jacob. Right, then in that day are they going to look for the Most High, but they ain't going to find the Most High on that day. Right, because they had the opportunity out here where you had not only the elders, right, you also had the men underneath the elders pushing this word. Right, Jake likes to score. Right, as back in Psalms the 37th chapter and the 14th verse, and it says, the wicked have drawn out, right, the sword, and they have bent their bows to cast down the poor. Who was the poor? And it says the poor and the needy. Who's the poor and needy? The Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, subject unto the curses the Most High put upon them so they're poor. Right? When I say the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, I'm talking about the whole of Israel. Right? The whole of Israel, the spread throughout the four corners of the earth. Because Jake can look like a Moabite. Right? Jake just being a arbitrary term. Is, a shortening, a slang way of saying Jacob. But Jake could look like a Moabite, but still catch the same hell as a Jacob, a regular Jacob. Right? It says, and to slay such as be of upright conversation. Right? Your honest trophy. What's your upright conversation in this word? Right? And that's what's going to happen really more so in the day when just before the Lord comes, where certain one's going to have to die for this truth. Which really is a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful death, man. Right, to have the honor to die for the word of the Abba Shem Yahweh. Right? It says, all right, and their swords shall enter. Right? It says their swords shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. Right? A little that a righteous man hath, is better than the riches of many wicked. Right? It says, for the arms of the wicked shall be broken, but the Lord upholdeth the righteous. Right? And the Lord knoweth the days of the upright. The days of the upright and the inheritance shall be forever. Right? They shall not be ashamed in the evil time. Right? And the days of famine they shall be satisfied. So in the days of famine, the ones that push the word, it's going to be satisfied, like it says in Proverbs, the first chapter, further on down, where it speaks of basically the men of the Most High basically being fed. All right. It says, right, but the wicked shall perish, right, and the enemies of the Lord shall see the fat of the lambs, and they shall consume into smoke, and shall smoke and smoke shall consume them away. All right, now let's jump to Job the 20th. No, Obadiah, because that's more relevant. Obadiah.
Let me just see what the train times are. Hang on. We can take this. We can't take this country to their contract.
Alright, it's gonna be Obadiah. Little book. There we go. Alright, this is Obadiah from the top, and it says, the vision of Obadiah, right? It says, thus saith the Lord concerning Edom, right? We have heard a rumor from the Lord, an ambassador is sent amongst the heathen. Arise ye and let us rise up against her in battle, right? Who we talking about rising up against in battle? Edom, right? That's like it says in Revelations, right, where that principal battle is going to take place. Right? It says, arise ye and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small amongst the heathen, and thou art greatly despised. And Esau is greatly despised, man. Right? You go to these different countries, they hate Esau. Right? They hate Esau with a perpetual hate. Right? It says, thy pride in thy heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks. We all know who was the cave dweller, right? You have to be a genius or a great historian to know that, right? It says, the pride in thy heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high. Whose habitation is high in these people? Who is in these high-rise buildings? Certainly ain't Jay. Certainly ain't the majority of Jay, right? It says, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou nest amongst the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. So when did this man really start going down? You know, when he sent them space shuttles up, when he had his nest amongst the stars, so to speak. Right? It says, right, if thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, right, how art thou cut off? Will they not have stolen till they had enough? Right, and it's basically showing the greed that Esau has. Right, it says, "Will they have not stolen until they had enough? If great grandfathers came to thee, will they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? Right, how are the hidden things sought up? Right, and it says, all the men of that confederacy, all the treaties that you make with these different countries, right, all the men of that confederacies, even to the border, right, the men who are at peace with thee, right, have deceived thee, right? And who that's principally talking about? That's talking about principally Russia, man. Russia's not peace with America, man. They're at peace with them. Right? There ain't no treaty there, right? Especially when America goes up into Iran, right? That's when all hell's gonna break loose, right? And it says, all the men of that confederacy have brought thee to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee, and prevailed against thee. they that eat that bread have laid a wound under me. So all of the people that that give aid and so on and so forth, right? That America gives aid to and so on and so forth. They've all deceived them. They've been deceived, right? And it says, there is none understanding in them, right? So I know in that day saith the Lord, right? Even destroy the wise men of Edom and understanding of Esau, right? And and thy mighty man, O Teman, which is the principal city within Edom, right? To the shall be dismayed, right? So in that day, even these warriors are gonna be dismayed because they're gonna be dying all over the place, man, right? Yeah, that's one of the curses that the Most High is going to put upon Edom, right? Where if they're going to have anguish of the loss of men, and loss of children, of the womb, right? It says, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau shall be cut off by slaughter. So that's what's going to happen of the government, the mount of Esau, Edom, Babylon, Egypt, whatever you want to call it, right? Let me read that again. It says, and right, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter for the violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, right, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So like it says in Job, it's going to be chased away as a vision of the night. You're going to look around and like, man, where did Esau go? Where's he at? Right? And it says, in that day that thou stoodest on the other side, right, thou stoodest on the other side, in the day when the strangers carried away captives his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, it's talking about Jacob, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was as one of them, right? But thou stoodest and not have but thou shouldn't have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger, neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah, which is you Negroes, right? In the day of their destruction, neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of their distress, right? Thou shouldest not have entered into the gates of my people in the day of their calamity, right? And that's just, that's clear cut and simple. I don't need much breaking down, right? It says, yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity, right? It says, neither shouldest thou have stood in their crossways to cut off those that did escape. So that's what Esau did when certain Jakes escaped from particular captivities. Esau would catch them, right, and send them back to whatever captivity we in. All right. And it says, neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. Right? It's near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done it, it shall be done unto you. So the Most High is like I say, is that perfect balance. Right? He's going to balance the equation out, so to speak. All right. And it says, thy reward shall return upon thy own head. Right. And it says, for they have drunk upon my holy mountain, so all the heathen shall drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as they have not been, right? So they're gonna be as they've not been. Meaning to say, it's gonna be like you was never on this high point, all right? And pretty much, with that, we'll sign out. We'll say double honors to the elders, honors to you brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity for the full corners of the earth, all right? Praise unto How about Shimmy outside, right? We'll see you on the next one. Shalom.